I'll switch to Germany. Now there are different airplanes for both allies and Central Powers, but they do the same thing. So so let's do the fighter. Now in this one, the fighter is going to be, well, the Fokker. Okay, it's glitching. Hold on. Give it a second. Now, it really consists on what you use. I never fly airplanes, but I'm using the dogfighter, which gives you bigger machine guns. And, yeah, that's just about it. I'll get into the next plane in a moment and just fly around for a bit longer. What does it have? Oh yeah, so it has flight speed, it makes you go faster, and then it has incendiary rounds. And that's about it for the dogfighter. This is the default version that you automatically unlock, and then you have to buy the 2 other ones. And I think the 2 other ones are the bomber killer and the what is it? The dogfighter, bomber killer, and the trench fighter. Now the bomber killer, you can shoot like fireworks, basically, not really missiles, at other planes. And then the trench fire, you can drop these like explosive trench darts on infantry, and they're really irritating. And this is for both vehicle classes. There's the C96 carbine, the PO8 artillery, the Piper, M1893, and the Frommerstock. I use the Piper. It's a revolver rifle. There are 2 more, but you can't really unlock them at the moment. Well, I can't, because I never use Tinker or Pilot. I mean, I use Tinker sometimes if someone ticks me off. Let's get into the bomber. I think this might be the... I think it's that one. Now... yeah, barrage bomber, that's just normal bombs. Firestorm, incendiary bombs, and torpedo. That's mainly for ocean. Let's take a look at the bomber. Now on the German side, you have the Gotha bomber. Now if you go into first person, you can aim with the bombs. I think this one has the weapons on this one are that gun and the autocannon. So there's that one. Is the other? Yeah, there it is. Alright. Now here's the normal attack plane. Now you have the ground support attack plane. That drops mortars. I'm pretty sure, like mortar rounds. It has a normal machine gun. Then there's the tank hunter one. It's really hard to use. You have normal bombs, the yellow little bombs that are on the bomber, and you have a giant cannon in your airplane that can take down tanks. Then there's the airship buster, basically the same as the bomber killer. You can use this against bombers as well, or any other plane if you want. Doesn't really matter. Oh, another cool thing about the fighter, if you get the I'll show the fighter one more time. If you get the deluxe pack, you get the Red Baron skin, and it's really cool looking on this airplane when you play on the German team.
A tank hunter kit is available.
Now what's next? Alright, hold on. I gotta wait a moment for the next airplane. There it is. Now let's get back into the attack plane. Oh yeah, this one basically has an autocannon on it. And then it has mortars. And then it has flares.
A trench raider kit is available near your location.
Well, tried to land, but it didn't let me. Now, man, hold on. Is the heavy bomber? If it would let me go in it. I will cover the heavy bomber later. It's a DLC, so I'll do DLC last. Which of these two? Never mind. I'm gonna go with demolition. Now this is based off of the Ilya Muromets bomber. It's a Russian bomber. It was technically the first flying fortress. It was the biggest airplane ever made. It was actually, before World War I, it was the world's first passenger airplane. Now, let me switch back to first person. Now you have, the bombs are a little bit bigger, the yellow bombs are bigger, and then these bombs are way bigger. And they make a bigger crater. Now you have auto repair on this one. I only use the demolition bomber. Now, the cool thing about this one is the animation of you walking around inside the bomber. As you can see, sorry, I had to repeat myself. Oh my god, man, the ping. Alright, the ping's better now. Well, that's the Ilya Muromets. I couldn't really say anything because the ping was bad, and probably this video is going to be glitchy. It has an autocannon on the front, no, it has a little fast-firing machine gun on the front, autocannon on the back, and it has an inside quarters where you can repair the bomber. Now you can't. Now anybody could stay in that area and just repair while you're fighting, so you wouldn't die. That's the cool thing about that. They call it the troll bomber for that reason, because you can't really take it down ever. Mortar landship variant, there's 3. There's the squad support, and there's the tank hunter. I myself use the tank hunter because you have a giant anti-tank rifle on the front. For this one you have a machine gun, and you can't really hope that your teammates actually fire the cannons, because whenever I use this tank, my teammates never fire the cannons when they spawn in this. Now I have the Black Best skin. You can only get that if you fully complete the campaign, if you 100% complete it. It's a super rare skin. It's like the only one you could get for free, but you have to put a lot of work in for it. Oh, and that landship is based off of the British Mark V. Now, the next tank is the heavy tank or the A7V. Only 20 were made in real life because the Germans didn't really have any tanks. Most of their tanks were either captured French or British tanks. Now the A7V, I'm using the heavy breakthrough tank, so that gives me armor, I think it's armor piercing rounds. And I have cluster shot, auto repair, and I can drop health and ammo. For the infantry. Give me a moment, I'm just gonna blow these tanks up real quick. Never mind, they already blew up. Let's move on to my favorite tank. That one, okay. This is the light tank. Now, French and Americans use this. Now, my favorite class is the howitzer one because instead of having a 37mm cannon, you have the howitzer cannon on your tank. But the flaw with this one is you don't have a fully rotating turret, which kind of sucks. Another fun fact about this tank is this is the tank that most modern tanks are based off of because the turret was on top, and this tank was actually really reliable. Now this one, it's kind of weak, but it can still pack a punch. The howitzer tank also has a lot more armor than the normal light tanks. And I like this one. The reason I like this one so much is because you don't have to really depend on other players to help you kill people in your tank, because it's just a one-seater. Now that's just some cool things that happen when you partially destroy a tank. It's not destroyed, but right now it's disabled. Like I can't move it, and when you're inside a burning tank, your soldier coughs. It's actually really cool. I'll get into anti-tank weapons in a moment, after I cover these tanks. Now the next one is the artillery truck. This one is pretty useful. At the same time, you also give away a bunch of armor, so this one is much weaker than the other ones. Now there's the cannon one. There's a cannon, anti-air, and a mortar. So I use the anti-air only when there's annoying people in aircraft that keep killing me in a game. Now this anti-air gun is based off the QF pom-pom. I think you know why it's called the pom-pom, because of the noise it makes. That's just what the British called it. Now this is my second favorite tank. The light tank will always be my favorite. This one is the, oh crap, I don't have the cooler variant. I'll bring up the cooler variant in a second. The normal one's way cooler. This is the Saint-Chamond, or the assault tank. It was a French tank. It wasn't that reliable, but later in the war they made it mobile artillery, so they just replaced the turret with an artillery gun. It has really good range. And the best part with this one, it has a quick drop, so you can hit tanks better with this. This one is the more heavily armored one. Let me get the one that has the... Let me get the one that has the cooler thing about this. Where is it? This is my favorite one. And the reason why is because it has a special power-up that lets you call in an artillery strike around your tank. Now, if you ever play this game and you ever get this tank, only use the artillery strike if your tank is really low. Because if you die in the long run, it'll take a bunch of people with you. Now, some tanks have canister, by the way. This is basically a giant shotgun. I forgot to mention that, but there's one that has, just gas shells. Oh, and then there's this one. This was put in from the Russian DLC. I wouldn't use it. It's really unreliable. This is based off of the Pupil of Garford. The reason why it's really unreliable to me and my friends is because now, what do you expect with a tank? You're supposed to aim in front of you. Well, I mean, this is good and bad. Flaw, you have to aim in front of you with most tanks. This one, the cannon's in the back. So you'd basically have to go all the way around your target and then fire. Now, give them props for the animation with it, because when you fire, they toss the shell out of the hatch. That's the cool thing about it. And once you switch to the cannon, it's hard to maneuver. But I kind of got the hang of it eventually. Also, just like the normal artillery truck, this one you also lose a lot of armor. Alright, now we'll get into gear to take down tanks. Now earlier you saw me using this. This is an anti-tank grenade. It's basically just a bunch of stick grenades like wrapped around a stick. That's all it is. You just throw those, they automatically explode. And then if you want to have an extra one for your normal grenades, because the anti-tank grenade's a gadget, so you can't just have two for your normal grenades because they're huge. You can have a light anti-tank grenade. Basically does the same thing, just a little less damage. And it does less damage on our infantry. This is dynamite. I think you know what it does. You just throw some down and you blow it up. Now that can be used against infantry. Like in one of my videos I record, this guy keeps tossing in dynamite whenever I enter and I keep dying. That's really irritating for people to do. Now, these are AT mines or anti-tank mines. They can only be triggered from a tank running over them. Now, there's one weapon, I forgot what it was. You had to get, I want to say, 5 kills with anti-tank mines, and I just went to a person spawn and placed a bunch down. That's how I did it. Yeah. Oh, I'll get into those vehicles in a second. But then there's the anti-tank rocket. This, you can kill people with it. My advice, if you ever come across an elite class, which is going to be in a different video, use this against it, it'll one-shot it. Now you can aim with this, of course. It has really long range. So if there was a tank on there, I could take it out if I wanted to. Now soon they're going to be adding a gadget. It was in the community test environment. They made an AA rocket gun. Now you basically shoot up in the air, and once a plane passes by, it will blow up on impact, and it does a little explosion like the, like... Let me repeat myself because my ping went up to 900 because my internet's being dumb this morning. It does an explosion like the AA gun. Now, the medic has a grenade launcher. The medic has a grenade launcher. Sorry, ping. Now, tankers and pilots have a repair tool, but then support can also have a repair tool to, like, well, repair other tanks or vehicles. They also come with a crossbow launcher, which just shoots highly explosive grenades, or a frag grenade if you either want to take down infantry. Now there's highly explosive mortars, don't do a lot of damage. Then there's the limpet charge. This does, like, it takes the tank down to half health. Now all you do, like, let's say this building's a tank. The tank is firing on your other allies. You just throw it while they're not looking, you walk away, and you just let the damage go down. Then you pull out your repair tool, and then you just start unrepairing while it's disabled. That's what I do. Now the scouts have K-bullets, don't do a lot of damage. Now let's get on to normal vehicles. This is a motorcycle, of course. And this is the armored car. It's different for, not two that the other allies have. And then there's the, different ones that the Central Powers have. But it has a turret on almost every single seat. Except for the driver. Now there is another car. It's a 3-seater, and on the back there's a turret. And that's about it for vehicles. And the next video is going to be elite classes, but I'm going to find a less laggy server.
A trench raider kit is available near
So
your
I'll
location.
be right back.